Kingdom of Bahrain recently hosted a key forum that highlighted significant historic facts related to the sovereignty of lands in the region, specifically focusing on Zubara territory located on the western coast of the Qatar Peninsula. Organized by the Bahrain Center for Strategic and International and Energy Studies, Dirasat, the forum was titled Al-Khalifa Rule in the Qatari Peninsula, History and Sovereignty. It shed light on the rule of the Al-Khalifa family and the sovereignty on the Qatari Peninsula in the 1700s.
Bahrain will take whatever measures necessary to protect its national security, and the collective measures taken by Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates and Egypt was a collective effort to stop Qatar in its meddling in the internal affairs of other countries, and Bahrain has suffered a lot. Enough is enough. There are 13 known demands that Qatar needs to abide by to move things forward. Continuing in the state of denial would not change a thing. Matters in Bahrain, especially internal matters, have eased down, and statistics and numbers have demonstrated and reflect that since the measures were taken against Qatar, even internal violence, or namely street violence, have decreased. Not only that, if we look into the wider Middle East, we will see that a number of hot tensions in the Middle East have also eased down. Whether it's in Libya, in Syria, in Yemen, we have seen developments in a positive manner. Yes, there continues to be aggression and crises in many hotspots, but we can see that even the number of refugees that have fled to Europe have decreased by almost half during this year. So this is a positive sign that the measures taken by the quartet against Qatar have led to a number of positive numbers that we see before us. It's evident that it's a state-sponsored ideology to support organizations that adopt an extremist or terrorist ideologies, basically. We have seen it with the Muslim Brotherhood, with Al-Qaeda, with the Taliban, with the Houthis in Yemen, with a number of other extremist and terrorist organizations. It is a policy adopted by them as a state sponsor of terrorism. We have seen Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism over the past 4 decades, and we have seen Qatar as a state sponsor of terrorism for the past 2 decades, and this has to stop.
No doubt that the relationship between Bahrain and Qatar has been passing through difficulties. One of the main reasons is that Qatar, since since 1762, when Al Thani, Qasim bin Muhammad Al Thani, tried to get into power and build his own entity. Since then, he has been trying to ally with foreign powers like Ottoman powers. He brought the Ottomans to the Qatar Peninsula and tried to be, to use all the forgery and documentation and incidents to change them to his own interest. We look at the Qataris. As brothers and one family. In fact, it's only that Al Thani, since hundreds of years, have been trying to expand and trying to work into the interests of others rather than Bahrain. That's why they have been supporting terrorism in Bahrain since long time. They look into Bahrain as a threat. In fact, it is not what they have in their mind. We are a very peaceful country, and we have been improved in the 2011 that we depended on how we can peacefully solve our problems. That's why the Qataris don't really have good intentions towards Bahrain. In fact, they have a dream that they want to establish the Ikhwan Muslimin state, not only in the Gulf, but as a whole in the Arab countries. That's why you'll see their money, their billions of dollars spent in Egypt against the Egyptian people, spent in Libya, very far away, spent in Syria, because they think that they can support Al-Ikhwan Muslimin, and from there they can establish as one state. They forget that Ikhwan Muslimin, when they get into power, first of all, they finish Al-Thani in Qatar. There are incidents where we cannot really depend on individuals who have their own way of looking into things. But we, for ourselves, we have to look into the system as a whole. The system that Al-Thani have established in Qatar, and their vision of a Ikhwan Muslimin state, that actually constitute a very dangerous threat to not only to Bahrain, but to Saudi Arabia, to UAE, Kuwait, all other countries. That's why I think it is very important that we have to, through documentation and through history, prove that the Qataris have to change their view, have to change their way of and intentions, and forget about establishing that state. Yes, it is very positive. In fact, I don't look at this point. I mean, the action that we have taken against Qatar to make the regime in Qatar to fall down. No, we are not aiming at that at all. What we are aiming at is to stop interference in our if we don't have relationship with Qatar, we cut the relationships, then there will be no dangers, no interference. There will be no easy money coming from Qatar to Bahrain or to UAE or to the main danger of Qatar was actually it was within the problem that you have an enemy within your house. It works from the inside of the house, so that's why it's very difficult to eliminate that. And that's why I said that we actually succeeded at eliminating this brother of ours from the interfering into the affairs of this house, our house in the Gulf.
Okay, first of all, thank you for this moment, I can say, to explain exactly what is the theory, how important is we are talking about the history today. The first papers which been mentioned in the first session, been mentioned that the ruling of our Khalifa in this area since many years ago, and I think it's a proof also that the ruling of our Khalifa was being the ruling through a powerful. They can just be very strongly in the area, and who's the weakness exactly that which will be appeared through this old document, that the weakness which has been appeared from Al-Thani, they couldn't do anything for that. They are starting to do some kind of trying to abuse the situation and to find a way to rule some area in that time, and from there until the day it's the same thing is happening. But I think all the documents and all this the first session exactly been mentioned and prove that how the ruling of our Khalifa was until today, and how that in Qatar that Al-Thani is doing from that time until today also to do some kind of let's say not to agree about the ruling of our Khalifa exactly, and they are trying to find some other let's say powerful people to support them and to find a situation to approve themselves in the area. Well, it's exactly we are talking about same family, same citizens, same area, same ruling. It's only one ruling, one rulers who ruled all the area exactly. So for that, it's no differences between that time and this time. But the problem is when Al Thani they tried to approve themselves, they started to do the opposite thing exactly about the ruling in the area. So for that, what the first paper exactly in the first session, they approved exactly the way that they're trying to do from that time, from Al Thani, I mean, and instead, in the same time when the powerful and ruling the area from the Al Khalifa. So that is the problem. But relations between, if you are talking about the families exactly and citizens and all the areas was all one, under one ruling, because one government exactly, the ruler was one. So everything was, it was safe, and also the areas was, as they said, it's powerful. There is no problem about the citizens themselves, but when Al Thani appeared trying to do something for themselves, to approve themselves exactly, they started to make the conflict between the people themselves and all the area exactly in that period of time. Well, I think exactly if we can just focus exactly on what is the ruler in Qatar they need exactly, what they want. What is the problem exactly what they are facing with Bahrain, especially, to try to find something which we don't know exactly what is it. For example, they are trying now, especially these days, to approve themselves. They are ruling the area, which is wrong. It is a very big mistake if they are thinking like that. And on the other hand, as today policies, I think there is differences between, if we are talking about the history, the time which is before 19 I mean exactly before 6-7 years ago, the difference is exactly how to push the others for the tourism. What has happened exactly about the tourism in Bahrain? It was not all coming just like that. Somebody was pushing for it. But what is the reason exactly? Is it because the same thing where I go in the first history in the first history and the first state when Bahrain and Qatar is trying to conflict between them? So I think it's the history and the dates is coming. It's covering the same thing, the same story that when it started is going to end in the same thing. These are situations I believe. You are going to open the wide subject now. Let me do something. It's not a matter of GCC countries exactly. It's international, let's say, situation, because what is happening now, there is some kind of a new policy exactly in the area. Now we are talking about the tourism exactly, which was we are facing with what we are facing exactly with Iran, and now it's appeared Qatar again on the other hand, and now Qatar and Iran becoming as a one area, as one screen that we are watching the tourism from them. On the other hand, the GCC countries now trying to handle it peacefully without to raise it as a war or whatever like that. But the problem is, if we are talking about Bahrain and Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, which they are now on one hand, and the other hand, the other GCC countries like Kuwait and Oman, now trying to settle up the problem with Qatar, which Qatars they don't agree for nothing. They are not going to come and sit together and try to finish why is that happening. So the problem is now what's happening exactly. The tourism is going to rise again and again, and these countries should push Qatar to come back and sit together with all the other GCC countries and face it and resolve the problems and make a decision about Qatar exactly which way they are going to choose. Is it the peace way or the other way? So that's it. Well, no, I think it's clear. It's with Iran, of course. Qatar, they think is Iran. They are supporting them. And if we are talking about Iran, we know Iran as an empire of Persian empire. They are trying to like a new situation in the area, especially in the Arab area. So what's happening exactly is Iran is trying to support Qatar just to conflict with the other GCC countries, Saudi and Bahrain and Emirates. So everything's clear today. There is nothing you can hide it up. So for that, I think what we are talking exactly, Qatar should come back with GCC countries, sit together on a table and just negotiate.